We made it. 328 at the Geek House. This is one of those overtime streams that I never want to do, but I didn't work overtime. That could change later this summer, but let's just say that, well, I want something in the #1 parking spot for the streams while I spend however much time I'm going to spend reacquainting myself with the rest of the gaming world. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, and I don't know why the headset sounds tinnier than usual. Well, it's moved a few things around. Things look a little different because I'm moving a few things around, experimenting with some new equipment, but I'm not spoiling anything. You folks will find out in the next 2 tech videos if they even get any views. If they don't get any views, you folks aren't going to folks aren't going to know what's going on, and, well, who cares anyways? Now, maybe I should shut all this down, just play games. I certainly have plenty of reasons to, shut all of this down, walk away from all of this and reclaim my free time, so to speak. This is something, too, people that give content creators a hard time, especially part-time content creators who have no interest in making this into any kind of job and all the conflicts of interest that come with it. There's something extremely important that's in play when it comes to content creators who do things the way that I do things. And that is that we assassinate our free time in order to do so. That's not too strong of a term either. We are willingly destroying our free time in order to stream or make videos. So you think about it. Obviously, if you're making videos, unless you have like a big video render can tie up your computer for a couple of minutes or more, depending on how slow your system is. But, I mean, if you aren't able to just relax and do whatever you want, you're giving up your free time. It's that simple. You might get like peanuts in compensation from ad revenue for a YouTube video these days. Good luck getting any critical mass in today's YouTube algorithm-dominated world, with the way things are today. I mean, you could have all these things and whatnot going on, but at the very same time, something sounds totally off. Let me check my Logitech G here and hope it doesn't screw up my sound. I did just upgrade my sound card driver, so 70% on the gain, master output level 100. Nope, it's still the same as it was before. I'm just having a hard time believing that it is okay. Anyways. But yeah, somebody who is doing this stuff is assassinating their free time in order to do so. As I've been reminded as to what I've been missing when I've just done whatever I wanted to instead of having to worry about the next video. Do I want to stream certain things? And especially since getting Forza Horizon 5 working on my system. Forza Horizon 5 has been an enigma for the last 6 months or so for me. It's been this puzzle I've had to figure out because it has never worked on my system. I thought that patches would fix the game to the point where it would actually launch, but unfortunately they didn't. What was actually canning my ability to play Forza Horizon 5 in anywhere near a contemporary manner was Komodo security software. There's a conflict somewhere between Komodo and Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon 5 also represents Microsoft seeing the writing on the wall when it comes to, what's this lens cleaner doing here? I don't know. Forza Horizon 5 also represents Microsoft doing an about face with the writing on the wall when it comes to the way things are with UWP, specifically the Universal Windows platform never really panned out. People didn't exactly want a proprietary, locked down, can't even get into the program folder on your own hard drive version of an app store on their Windows 10 PCs. So it just didn't work out. Forza Horizon 4 to this day remains a pain in the ass to have to deal with. First, everything's locked down. In order to get it into your Steam library as a non-Steam game, if you have the UWP version, which I do, because it was available through the Windows Store long before the Steam version came out, and I understand the Steam version doesn't even have 100% functionality with Xbox controllers. There's trigger rumble that's not working, and there's some other bugs, apparently, in the Steam version of the game that don't exist in the original Windows Store version of the game. So there are some differences, interestingly enough, with Forza Horizon 4. What's all the noise? It's 3:30 in the morning. That better be a thunderstorm. Otherwise, I'll probably have police in the neighborhood. Someone's going to call in a noise complaint or something. But this whole thing with Forza Horizon 4 is pretty simple. It's a pain in the ass. You can't even get into the directory. You need to use a third-party GitHub program like UWP Hook in order to hook it into your Steam so you can have it in your Steam recently played games lists and stuff like that. You need to run a hook program just to get that going. And then you download the game and its expansions, and it comes out to like 100 gigs, similar to Forza Horizon 5 base game. Forza Horizon 5 is bigger, by the way. So you install Forza Horizon 4, or you try to anyways, and the download keeps erroring out. You keep having to click restart, 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 because it is so buggy. It's like you just can't, you have to have it going on a screen too when you're downloading Forza Horizon 4 or other similar Windows Store apps that are that big, because it will keep erroring out even if you have a rock-solid internet connection. Fortunately, you don't have to start over every single time, but just having to sit there and babysit the progress bar on a second screen or something as it inches across with the 100 gigs or whatever it is between all the and have to keep restarting. It's just like, no. Forza Horizon 5 gets away from all of that. I can actually get this, add a non-Steam game to Steam and actually go to the Forza Horizon 5 starter or launch helper or whatever it is and actually add it into Steam as a non-Steam game. What a concept! So amazing, isn't it? You know, I don't need third-party hook programs in order to add Forza Horizon 5 into Steam so I can access it from the same games menu, library, etc. as I do the bulk of my games on PC these days, which are Steam games. It's ridiculous. Apparently, this program can also be used for other Xbox app games and stuff, since the Xbox app has taken over for the old Windows Store. Microsoft is trying to look more friendly to PC gaming, and part of that, though, is PC Game Pass, which, in order to get Forza Horizon 5 working, I signed up for the free trial. The fun part is the free trial gives you... The fun part is an active Game Pass subscription gives you access to the standard versions of every game in the library as they come and go, and then a discount if you go to purchase it before it's taken out of the library. Basically the ultimate game demo out there. It's like, for what, $10 a month or so? Seriously, where was this? It's like, I'm looking at, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on here. We're probably going to be out of order for most of this discussion, but it's just an update on things. Then I have 2 tech videos to put together to explain what's going on the hardware side of things, assuming they even get any views. I mean, let's take a look at the last one. I mean, first of all, tech videos on YouTube are in the absolute swamp right now. There are content creators that are very, very disheartened because of the state of tech videos. It's just people are treating tech videos and their creators like complete crap, and then the algorithms dogpiling on top of that. Yeah, 2 weeks. Windows 10 versus the E-Machine Part 4 couldn't even hit 100 views. That's terrible. It's like, the difference between myself and some of the other folks who are upset about numbers, though, is I'm not going to discount the people that watch the video, because there's some really big examples. Hey, what mode is my microphone in? Is that why it sounds weird? Let me see here. Should be in cardioid. But I'm not going to discount... Oh, no, it's still in cardioid. It's correct. I'm not going to discount, though, the people who watch the videos, regardless of however many of them there are. Plus, YouTube's analytics tells me out of all my subscribers, because my channel's as old as it is, only 130 of them even have notifications set up correctly anyways. And I'm sure those 130 are among the 130 most recent. So it's just a matter of getting everything set up and stuff like that, and then just seeing what happens. But I can tell you, there is a generation of YouTubers nowadays that are just entitled and petty and disgusting. They're crying about stuff they shouldn't be crying about. It's turning into a bigger version of what Twitch streamers do. You know, you have a full-time Twitch streamer. You have a full-time Twitch streamer with a decent amount of subs over on Twitch, and they will complain that someone else is bigger than them, even though they're already big as they are. Then you see YouTubers start doing this. There's a guy, I'm surprised I recognize the name. I usually expect people like this to be more professional. There's a YouTuber who I saw on Twitter earlier today crying about how he can't make the videos that he wants to make. guess what numbers he's upset about. He makes car videos. And his worst performing video in the last 30 days got 300,000 views. And he's upset about it. Poor sweet baby, your video only got 300,000 views. You think you have to change your entire channel now because you think that you hate your audience because only 300,000 people are watching your worst performing video. Frickin' snob. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. YouTube's been around long enough, and there are channels that cry about, channels with like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subs that cry about videos getting more views than some of us smaller creators get in a year. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It's still stupid though. You're a full-time YouTuber with a team. You have everything going for you. Your channel is at the top of the search results, and you desperately dig to find an excuse to cry on Twitter because you have a video that only got 300,000 views. Cry me a river, princess. Just, is that the fate of content creators when they get too big? They're doomed to lose touch with reality and start thinking that only 300,000 views is bad? Is this what YouTube has sunk to in the 2020s? Is this what being a YouTuber is all about? Not being grateful for any success you've accomplished? It's one thing if I'm upset that I can't even get 100 views on a tech video at a time when tech videos are in the doldrums. It's something completely different when somebody who is very well off as a content creator cries about 300,000 views. Are you kidding me? So pathetic. It's like, please, by all means, hey, those of you people in the 300,000 that watch this guy's car videos, if you're looking for somebody to watch who isn't crying about only getting 300,000 views, like and subscribe. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there, including other car channels you could be watching, where whoever's running it will be a lot more grateful for people stopping by, fighting the algorithms to get there, and watching than somebody who makes a big deal out of, I only got 300,000 views on my worst performing video in the last 30 days. Woe is me. I can't make the videos that I want. Really? I shouldn't be surprised. The way that people work with how messed up people are is if you can imagine it, someone out there is probably trying to do it, no matter how stupid it is. I could probably have imagined someone crying about only getting 6-digit views on a YouTube video. But I'm just annoyed that someone actually is doing it. Are you kidding me? 300,000 views and you're crying on Twitter. How big? Let me look up his channel without putting it on the screen. I don't want to publicize this guy, this petulant little crybaby. Let's see, youtube.com. Let me search for it. He probably shows up if I search for him. Let me mute this. I don't want anything to autoplay. Mute tab, please. Shooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-doo. 4 million subscribers. Yay! 4 million subscribers, and you're crying about videos not getting millions of views. Let me see recent uploads. Let's see. Oh yeah, only 300, almost 400,000 views. Sorry, I'm a little negative here. I can't make the videos I want because in a single day your video gets nearly 400,000 views when videos from like a week ago are getting like 600,000 to 1 million. Like, shut up already. How about you actually appreciate what you have, you spoiled little snob. That's YouTube in the 2020s, folks. Yeah. Either way, I'm gonna break from this little crybaby crap that this guy's doing, and I'm gonna say that the 95 people who've watched my latest video about the E-Machine and stuff like that are actually good people. I'm not going to be like, wah, I don't have more views, you know, when people are, and discount the contributions of the people that watch this stuff. You know, part of my problem as a channel, there's a lot of things that are in play. First, production value. YouTube has gotten to the point where you pretty much need $1,000 DSLR or a flagship smartphone to record videos whose quality is good enough that people will take them seriously on big screens. Otherwise, you got to wing it, and hopefully everybody's watching you on smartphones. But I assure you that we have a generation that casts from their phones to their screens. So at some point, you got to pass the big screen test. And I just don't think you can do it at 1080p with anything less than a high-end camera and good lighting these days. You know, you look at, I mean, unless you're trying to, I mean, nowadays, if you use regular lights as lighting, you're basically retro. Think like AVGN with his last Ninja review where he tried to make the first part of his video look like 2006. I remember him talking about making videos in 2006, and he was talking, AVGN was actually talking about how he used desk lamps as stage lights. He'd put a desk lamp on the floor and fire it up at him with a tungsten bulb in it, and that was his light. Done that. Mid-2000s YouTube. That's what it was all about. Whatever you had was what you worked with, because it was supposed to be about broadcasting yourself. So you didn't want it to look produced like a TV show. You mean, it was basically the ultimate in reality TV with original YouTube, because it was real people telling real stories about how their real lives were going when they vlogged in a format not unlike what I'm doing with these chat streams, where they just turned on the camera and started talking. Of course, the equipment was very inferior. You know, camera, microphone, instead of anything decent like this. We had not yet reached the point where you could wander into Walmart and buy something like Yeti Nano and get a shock mount and boom arm off of Amazon so your desk noise and vibration doesn't make it into the recording. I mean, just the basics that are available today are pretty awesome. This Nexigo webcam that I use, which handles low light incredibly well with Geek House dark mode, is also incredibly nice for under $100. But, you know, with inflation and shortages driving up prices everywhere, the old soup can camcorders, just, you'll see people YouTubing with DSLRs at home and stuff like that. They just find a way to get around the power problems that are inherent with DSLRs and how quickly they suck their batteries dry. So, and then of course there's smartphones too, but I mean, a flagship phone will give you some pretty decent video quality. There are some people out there that use phones for YouTubing because they're basically easy to transport cameras. If they're filming very basic video for a YouTube video, they'll just go around like a streamer but have higher quality stuff because they're not streaming to Twitch or something like that. So there's some really good cameras out there, and Bluetooth lets you hook up external things to a smartphone. So you can upgrade the sound with a portable microphone or something along those lines, or make a montage video, or do all kinds of other stuff. The bottom line is, you know, production value is more of a barrier to entry on YouTube than anything else these days. It's like, and then in sharp contrast, you have TikTok, where people just bust out their phones and they make videos with their phone cameras, and basically that's it. Kind of challenging YouTube with a return to basic video making, much in the same way that YouTube challenged television. Again, this whole ultimate reality stuff. Getting back onto smartphones with TikTok has reset the everything to where regular old Joes could just bust out their phones and make videos that go viral. So that's the world we live in. Another thing too, and this is something that I was actually talking on some things on Twitter about, is that algorithms, that like what dominates YouTube these days, loves pastiches. There are channels out there that in some way that attain their success exclusively because their style is close enough to the style of an already successful channel for the algorithms to pick them up and pass around their stuff. So you think of tech videos in the style of Linus Tech Tips. Like, people who have videos that are similar to Linus videos are going to get more views than people who don't. What am I doing? I'm doing my own thing. With the so-called tech videos are more like vlogs telling an ongoing story. I think I bumped this earlier. That's a little weird now. We'll have to fix that afterwards. But the tech videos that I make are ongoing stories of the various tech tinkering and other projects that I do. It's their own style. Yeah, they're even on YouTube. There really isn't anybody else that does things exactly the way that I do. So I am at the butt end of the pastiche element of the algorithms. There's nothing for the algorithms to relate my video to. So there's really nothing to recommend them alongside on a consistent or regular basis. And I can check too with the reach tab as well in YouTube Analytics to see that for myself. So there's a lot of crap between people, the way they treat YouTube, and YouTube, the way YouTube treats people, that is causing all the problems with my channel these days. And then you have people like Bellular who are saying to not watch people who in any way blame the algorithm for their channels having Bellular is yet another commentator who completely blows off the technology, the very real technology that comes between you and your ability to have an audience on multiple social media platforms. Learn about, for example, getting shadow banned on Tinder or Instagram, to where the only one who sees you is bots because something flagged you for something, and now the algorithms are going to cut you off. This might be more pronounced nowadays on some of the newer platforms than they are on YouTube these days, but algorithms are a very real thing, and they're a very real middleman between you and your ability to have an audience, and even your ability to retain an audience. Take YouTube subscriptions, for example. By default, they default to personalized notifications. It's like the fake buttons at certain intersections in large cities, where they give you a button to press that doesn't do anything because a sensor, if you want to cross the street, because a sensor is detecting whether someone's standing around on the street corner and then working in a way to flip the lights over so you can cross the street automatically. But to give the illusion of control, to make you feel like you're doing something, there's a dud button in there, even though sensors and computers are doing all the work. In the same manner, the subscription system on YouTube is exactly the same. You default to personalized notifications. The truth is, you have the illusion of control having pushed a button, but the algorithms still determine whether you get an audience or not. The notifications will stop if they appear to be interested in something else. And on YouTube, especially with their poor bell notification system versus something like Facebook, it's way too easy to get too many notifications for you to even keep up with them. I never even read mine. I just go to YouTube and poke around looking for something to watch. I'm more likely to see something from the algorithm than from my subscriptions most days. So you have that problem. It's phone notifications that are better. And on my channel, very few people have that set up relative to the 3,800 subs. Very few people. So let's see. I want to see stream health stuff here in case I get some warnings about something. So very few people have phone notifications set up. See, if you go through and clear your phone notifications, that's when you might notice the new video from me or something. I don't expect YouTube notifications with the little bell on the website to actually work. Way too much stuff is going to get put in there. So, and I tested also to make sure notifications are going out on my other phone. My home phone that I use, I set it up to my personal account and subscribe to myself, essentially, with the bell rung and everything to see if I get notifications. So, this huge tangent, well, there's going to be a lot of tangents with this because we're talking about stuff that's going on. There's a lot of crap that's going on that I just want to get off the table, and then we'll call it a morning here. So, the YouTube situation with myself and this channel, quite frankly, is that YouTube sucks. But some of it is because I'm sticking true to the original way that you were supposed to use YouTube back in the 2000s. I'm calling myself an old school YouTuber in my Xbox profile. And the reason is I'm really sticking to what YouTube originally was all about. You use like camcorders and maybe a few other things, and you basically broadcast yourself like the original motto of the platform was before it got all complicated with all this corporate influence and all the stuff from the Susan Wojcicki era. It's really basic stuff. But as we're seeing with myself and everybody else doing this kind of stuff, there really isn't a place for that in the general psyche of people who use YouTube. Now that YouTube has been around long enough that it's on everybody's phones and nobody thinks it's anything special anymore. It's not special to be a YouTuber. It's on everybody's phones. People can put whatever they want on here as long as it doesn't break TOS. And there's such a wide variety of stuff on YouTube these days that there really is no right way to be a YouTuber. You're basically left to just do it however you want. And in my case, it's, what made things more interesting and what made this worth doing in the 2000s. Then there's the problems, of course, with live streaming. YouTube has little cosmetic things like big red live things and stuff to try and get people to click on streams, but they just don't have the discoverability, and they don't have the culture for live streaming to really be anything big on here, other than outside of like events and little sweetheart deals with certain Twitch streamers that already have an audience, so the algorithm's going to favor them. But even so, I don't really see growth. You could say Valkyrae is the greatest example of growth on YouTube because she was just a couple thousand concurrents on Twitch. Then she went to YouTube and stuff like that. The thing is, though, Valkyrae has been involved in various fad games during the lockdowns. It got a lot of people more viewers, especially if they're in with the big streamers. So, Among Us, other games, things like that. So, I think if she stayed on Twitch, she would have grown anyways. Would she be the size of Pokimane like she is today? Who knows? Probably. She's got the charisma and the character for it. But I seriously think a lot of people say, oh, Valkyrae, she's grown since she's been on YouTube. She would have grown otherwise. She also has a lot of crosstalk with Twitch streamers, so anybody who platform hops can check out her streams as a result of that. But I really think that the reason why I say what I say about Valkyrae is that her success is not echoed in a lot of the other big streamers that are on YouTube. Dr. Disrespect is roughly the size he was on Twitch. Tim the Tapman, roughly the size he was on Twitch. Dr. Lupo, roughly the size he was on Twitch. Saikuno, I think, is going to be in the same boat. I really don't think that any growth they see on YouTube is really going to be the direct result of YouTube. I think it's just going to be stuff that would have happened anyways, because streaming is so niche, especially game streaming and stuff like that. And streaming is kind of in the doldrums right now because of the end of the pandemic, or not the end of the pandemic, but the end of the lockdowns and a lot of restrictions. People are getting back out and living their lives aside from looking at screens again. Streaming's kind of it doesn't bode well for live streaming, where if someone's a streamer, aka limiting themselves as a content creator, if someone's a streamer, basically what they're bringing to the table is, watch me, I'm going to stream as much as I can because grinding works with streaming, and I want you to watch me as much as you can so you can feel like you're, we're fake friends or whatever with the parasocial crap. But an environment where, I'm going to give up my free time to put myself on camera as a full-time streamer, and I want you to give up your free time to be sitting there watching me all the time. How practical is that in an environment where people are going to do stuff besides be glued to screens all the time? And I can tell you right now, there's going to be probably the inflation side of it. When people smarten up to what's going on with inflation right now, and they start turning to electronic entertainment because the prices on digital goods don't go up like, say, $5 a gallon gas. Some people are going to think, this is just going to be the latest thing that puts off the coming collapse of the live streaming bubble that propped up in 2020. I mean, that's something to think about, too. It's like, if you're fine at home, why would you want to burn $5 a gallon gas to go somewhere for fun when you could catch up on that Steam backlog or whatever until all the prices cool off? So, some things really to think about with all of this. Knocking stuff over, huh? Anyways, it's late June. There's a lot going on, and I have barely even scratched the surface of what's going on at 4 a.m. at the Geek House. So I think we're going to go into daylight hours and hear people start doing stuff outside again if I don't get my stuff together here. Anyways, let's go over a couple of things with what's been going on here. 2 tech videos recorded. So even if we did get pounded with volume at the 9 to 5 this week, I could have just edited or played games or something like that. So 2 tech videos progressing the story beyond the e-machine thing. And I think this is just going to be the answer to, this is just going to be further verification that it's just the tech video doldrums are what they are on YouTube at this point. So I think that's going to be a thing. I think that's going to be a thing when I progress the story with all of that. This is going to go into the #1 parking spot with the whole streams for the streams as I check out Forza Horizon 5, which I finally got working. And I also check out Xbox Game Pass, which I finally decided to try out. Heard all these nice things about it, the PC version of it, but it's a wild card, really, because you're talking about something that costs about as much as an MMO subscription that basically gives you a game library. You know, it's popular stuff. It's like listening to the top 40 station on the radio, but it's just like, yeah, so we gotta talk about that. Before we do, though, let's talk about the summer and how much it's gonna suck. You know, those of you folks that may have wandered through a summer job before where things got crappy for a summer, but you wound up with some money when it was all over, you can probably relate to where my grown-up, middle-aged, full-time job is going for this summer. Right. I mentioned a while back that things are going to get crazy this year. At some point they will. There's a lot that's in play. We're between COVID waves here in the Northeast right now, but BA4 and BA5 in particular is developing in our part of the country faster than a lot of the previous variants have. So around the time it's attaining critical mass and knocking people out on quarantine is going to be roughly around the time that everything's going crazy. At some point, if there isn't an overtime explosion at this place, then and plenty of money to be made, I will be extremely disappointed, because right now the perfect storm is absolutely brewing. Here's what's going on with the 9-to-5ers. Corporate has made a little red button for themselves that they have their finger on. All they have to do is push it. And when they do, we will get pounded. The warehouse folks will get absolutely pounded with orders, and they will have no choice but to pick them. Because the warehouse folks have also been banned from moving orders around to smooth out the workload. At the very same time, it has been decided from on high, the biggest day of the week is going to be Thursday night, specifically for night shift. So the last day of the week is also supposed to be the biggest day of the week for the night shifters. I hope you can see where this is going. Here's how it works. We do our normal days. We have a night shift weekend on Friday, Saturdays. So the orders go out the day after they go out, like the calendar day after they're picked. So end of the week orders get to sit around a day or so, because there isn't much for activity with shipping and couriers on weekends, unless you're Amazon. But orders get to sit around, and so you technically have until the orders are scheduled to go out to get them picked. Thursday, Friday, last days of night shift and day shifts weeks, biggest day of the week, means that corporate has a red button they can press to smash the heck out of the building with volume. And then you'll be working overtime on the regular last day of the week, and if need be, extra days. Worst comes to worst, you're working 7 days a week. It's a nice little counter to the Great Resignation and these folks being an underdog in terms of being a place to work, and all the problems with fielding a team that these people have been going through for years, even before the pandemic. So that's a problem. Sales could take off. Corporate pushes their little red button. We're working 7-day weeks, maybe 60, 70-hour weeks if it gets to that. Because make Thursday gigantic, and the warehouse has Thursday night, Friday day, Friday night, Saturday day, Saturday night, and maybe even Sunday day if needed, in order to send the orders, in order to get those orders picked. So that they have a very much a red button on the warehouse folks, which could they push the button, boom, a bunch of overtime. Free time goes away. That's one part of it, by the way. We're not even done explaining this yet. So, corporate has their finger on a red button. They push the button, we get pounded with overtime, and we're working 7 days a week at the worst. Until people start smartening up to this, until more people besides nerds like me figure this out, and they call off on Thursday nights, now they're off the hook for any extra overtime. Because they just call off on Thursday, they turn off their phone. They never knew there was overtime Friday, Saturday. Well then. Oh, but what if they blow all their sick time and they get warnings and point out for attendance? We're an underdog. If they stay involved with warehousing, their next job is either not going to be much of a setback money-wise because wages have risen with the Great Resignation, and we're the underdog now, so they'll probably make as much more or just a tiny bit less of their next job. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they get out of the underdog company now if they get fired for attendance, especially if they haven't been here as long. I'm sure the grizzled veterans who can't imagine ever having another job ever again and are riding the horse till it drops will play ball, but these are people that are largely older than me. These are people doing warehouse work in their 40s and 50s and 60s. So the hot shots in their 20s and 30s don't have the seniority, and they don't have really any attachment to this place other than maybe a training facility to learn skills and then move up to a harder place. So who cares if they get fired for attendance because they just called off? They didn't want the overtime. They just called off to the point where, and is there even, let's see here. If somebody hasn't blown their sick time, they would call off 5 weeks in a row unless HR went after them for a pattern of abuse because they kept calling off on the same day of the week. Unless HR went off, so that's a month and a week out of the summer volume season, blowing sick time on the last day and not being on the hook for overtime. Plus, let's see, 2 months. Yeah, they could theoretically, if they took every single week off, if they called off every single Thursday, Friday, they could theoretically they could eliminate most of the summer before they were forced back in on like a final warning for attendance or something. The bottom line is people who don't want to go through all the crap ton of overtime have options. And even if they get fired, we're an underdog. They'll probably make more money somewhere else or as much or only a tiny bit less. Now, there'll be more opportunities at a lot of other places than there are with these folks these days. So where is the reason for anybody except for the old grizzled folks who are like picking orders and whatnot, and they're like their 40s, 50s, and 60s? Where's the motivation? Especially with, how we've gotten to the point where we're attracting people who just want short hours and easy weeks and stuff. This might be what makes them, I don't know. A lot of folks that want to be full-time, but work like pseudo part-time hours, like an Obamacare full-time job. If anybody remembers when the Affordable Care Act passed, full-time was defined as 30 hours a week for the sake of health coverage, and seedy businesses out there tried to part-time as much of their workforce as possible, sometimes putting people down to like 28, 29 hours a week to not have to pay out benefits. It's like, yeah. One of those, that old argument from 2009 has come back to haunt us. Whatever. So yeah, there's people that they may just point out, and they'll blow all their time that they're allowed to blow before that happens, which will take most of the summer. So even if somebody does decide that they're going to get fired for attendance and just milk it on the way out, it's going to take most of the summer for that to happen. In the meantime, it's even more work for everybody who actually does show up. So all of that snowballs everything, of course, because all these people playing the system until they get fired and go to a similar job that pays more to start, or it's like they just brush it off and move on or whatever. Or they retcon the story. My car got screwy or whatever. Yeah, and then they try and get a temp job later to come back. I don't know. I think there's like a 1 year cooldown if you get fired for something, but you're not considered ineligible for rehire. I don't even know that stuff. But we have all of that going on. So all the people that smarten up to this and start calling off to get out of all the overtime are just going to make more overtime for everybody else. That's why I'm talking about 70-hour work weeks and working 7 days a week. I don't think it would come from the order volume alone. I think it would come from the lazy asses trying to get out of it. It's money either way. Anybody who actually wants to work, there's money to be made with this if you don't mind completely assassinating your free time for most of the summer and slogging around in a hazy, hot, and humid warehouse doing probably the dumbest jobs in the building, because those have the most people that are like, la la la, I don't care. Hey, I'm sick. Or how about people? No. Here's the wild card. The COVID policy is still in effect. they could get, they could get up to warnings or whatever, and then they could start saying they have COVID or not. No, don't say they have COVID. Say they have suspicious symptoms and they're having a hard time getting tested for whatever reason. They could always play that game, but maybe they won't have to, because like we mentioned earlier, the next variant, BA5, and its cousin BA4, they're gaining critical mass here in the United States right now, mostly out in the West. In parts of the country where BA2.12.1 didn't make the rounds as much. So, assuming that it evades immunity from original Omicron or something like that, because it's a couple generations removed from everybody getting sick last winter, well, people that weren't caught up on their shots anyways, all those people out there, who are now sitting ducks and don't know it, COVID is over, no masks, woo! That kind of crap. They get a nasty surprise around the time, and they get kicked out in quarantine. See, BA2.12.1, when it surprised some people with the anti-vaxxers on day shift with these folks, like we had one group that lost like half the people on the team because of it for a week. Yeah, so based on genomic surveillance and how it's making progress in the country, BA4 and 5 should be stepping on our toes around the time that summer volume season is peaking. So, boy, does that sound like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Well, it's work. They don't call it work for nothing. Work sucks, but it's work, and it pays. So, how much overtime is on the board? Who knows? But I'm sure that there's managers quaking in their boots at the thought of there's a certain goal. They have to stay below a certain percentage of time and a half, and I think they're going to have a hard time with it when more and more, if my nightmare situation that I'm describing here in any way is correct. It's going to be even more of a nightmare for them trying to justify the budget and stuff like that. But hey, I'm looking for more hours and more time and a half opportunities, so I can't complain. It just might shut down the channel if things get crazy. I'll come home and I'll zonk out in front of Forza until I'm dozing off and then go to bed. As long as it doesn't get like 12-hour days or something like that. So, yeah, we are in for a suck-ass summer. If you ever worked a summer job where you just slogged through it and it sucked, but at least you had money at the end of it, that's kind of what I'm going through, except I'm not like 16 years old trying to save up to buy a beater mobile so I can impress my girlfriend with a barely running pair of wheels in high school or whatever. So, yeah. Hey, I was looking for, this is CDM. If you hear it, it's a CD I'm messing with here. But, yeah, CD. Can you imagine that? Yeah, I'm showing my age. But, yeah, it's going to be a rubbish summer. And I got to figure out what to do about all this. Something else I got to figure out what to do is, do I want to get rid of the plaid sofa or not? But you know what? I've been tossing this CD around a bit. Why don't we just, we'll put the clickable program guide thingy in here eventually to just split up all these segments anyways, since I understand that the algorithms are picking them up for search results. So, in this day and age, it's 2022, by the way, for those of you that live under whatever folder you live under. It's 2022, and you may think, in this day and age of digital music being all over the place, is there really a place for people to still buy CDs? For a while, I was thinking of getting rid of my CD collection. I knew that other than a couple of indie groups that don't have their music on Spotify or anything, for the most part, yeah, my CD collection has gotten redundant. However, I didn't take into account the Netflix effect of digital music. And that is, it is possible for digital versions of songs to be so unpopular that eventually they do get deleted, and you can't listen to them digitally anymore. Such was the case with this. This is probably one of the last CCM CDs. This is one of the last, look like it's autographed too. I ordered this off of Amazon from Goodwill of Colorado. This is probably one of the last CCM CDs I'm ever going to buy from my teenage years. Nitro Praise 7, Cherish the Soul. For those of you, I don't know who this Phil guy is. It did the fish symbol and stuff like that. But yeah, Cherish the Soul. Yeah. those of you unfamiliar with the Nitro Praise project, it's some screwball thing from like the late 90s into the 2000s where church worship songs were put with electronica and techno stuff, trying to appeal to the teenagers and stuff at the time. There were groups like Raise and Out of Eden that were doing bumping, thumping music, and even Kirk Franklin's Revolution song was lighting up the gospel charts and stuff. But one of the things that Nitro Praise did very specifically was they had instrumental versions of the songs. A lot of times I thought the songs were tacky and cringy because it was just such generic attempts to shoehorn together something you would sing in church with a 4 on the floor beat. A lot of times I listen to the instrumentals more than the actual songs. Sometimes I listen to the instrumentals so much I forgot what the original song was. And that was the case with this thing. There's a couple of instrumentals that I really like because of the instrumentals that I really don't care much about what song they even were. They were cool sounding electronica tracks for the year for 1999-2000. There used to be YouTube videos. They were never picked up by Content ID. And the only person who still has videos on their channel right now only has the versions with vocals. So in order to listen to the 3 songs or whatever that I used to listen to, one of the only times I used the program button on my CD player where you can actually program in what to play in what order. I just type it in, like spend a minute or two punching it in on the CD player back then. So and I would just loop or shuffle it afterwards. So you could make like a temporary playlist with old CD players. But the songs that I used to play on this, aren't on YouTube, aren't on Spotify, aren't anywhere anymore. No, there is no digital anything. All that's left is the CD. So I tracked down a copy of the CD, digitized it with iTunes, and now it's in with my MP3s. Going around the world to end up in familiar territory again with digital music from my generation, digitizing your CD collection. It's crazy. I still don't... That wasn't somebody, by the way, who signed the booklet either. It was somebody who signed just the jewel case. I don't know who this... Well, you might as well put this back in here now. You can't even see it. I don't know what happened. I don't know what mouse or whatever took a chunk out of the side of this. There wasn't pieces in the bag or anything. It was broken when they sold it. So the picture didn't match the goods. Yay, secondhand sellers do that crap. I don't know who this Phil is with the fish symbol, but it's only on the jewel case. Take the booklet out, it's gone. So I'm probably going to set up a replacement jewel case. What I could do, I have some Radio Shack ones with a black thing in the middle. I'll take the clear thing from this one and combine it with one of those cases, those extra cases I still have any sitting around, and basically restore it that way. And I'll get rid of the autograph in the busted corner of the case and stuff like that. And it'll be a proper addition to my CDs. Then it'll sit around forever. It's just crazy though, I remember, digital music has been advancing as a technology for years. I remember when the auto rip function on Amazon launched, and if you bought a CD from Amazon at any point, you suddenly got the digital version of it. Suddenly I'm finding like Metallica songs and stuff from my old radio show I have access to. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, what the heck? Oh, it's from when I did my college radio show and they let us bring in whatever CDs we wanted. So I bought a few CDs off of Amazon because we had licenses to play all the music from all the major publishers and stuff. Either way, this thing was basically, what is it? If you're curious about the tracks, let's see, can I even read this? How great thou art and great is the Lord, the instrumental versions of it. So you don't even have to care about the song or anything. Hey, did I... Okay, good. My stream didn't freeze. I was like reading this and I'm like looking at the preview. I'm like, hold on a second. So you don't even have to care about the song or the hymn or anything like that. It's just the instrumental's pretty cool. Used to play this. Mostly I played this in the summer of 2000 between high school and college. There's very, very like introspective songs to play while I was like packing away my high school yearbook and getting ready to go off to college and stuff. And of course, there was this weird thing that happened not long after I graduated. I went to a college open house. So, and I come home from this event I come home from this event, which is kind of like an orientation of sorts. I look through through the yearbook at, you know, my classmates and stuff, and it's like looking through a glass window. It's like this feeling that that part of your life really is over, you know, and it's time to move on from that stuff. But that's what happens when you grow up and stuff like that. Statistically, you only keep in touch with like one of your high school friends, maybe two. I fit that perfectly. There is exactly one person who knew me in high school who even has anything to do with me anymore. Lots change over the decades. I went to one single reunion, my 10-year reunion, and I haven't been to any of the ones since, or there wasn't enough critical mass and they canceled the events. So high school reunions, not all that interesting anyways. Wow. See how much people have gotten old since last time. Yay. Something to look forward to, right? Now, I really think that by the time you're getting to like your 20-year, 15-year reunion after high school, your life is pretty much settled into what it's going to be. And there isn't a place for old high school folks in that respect, then I never been to a union, says Dan. Reunion. By the time you're hitting your 15-year high school reunion, though, your life is pretty much settled into what it's going to be. And if there isn't a place in what you're doing for old friends from high school, they're pretty much gone anyways. People also have a thing where they just vanish as well. It's like just life happens. People get caught up in what's going on, and next thing you know, they're forgetting friends or whatever. It just happens, too. In my case, though, being the class nerd, getting made fun of for 4 years all through high school, I knew college would make it completely obsolete, and it did. You know, my college experience had its problems, too. Most notably that I never fit in with the drinking culture because I didn't want to get hooked on booze, because it was, you know, it could cost a lot very, very easily. There was one party animal at my college that graduated with 2 maxed out credit cards on top of his student loans. And this is pre-Card Act, so there were lots of hidden fees and other gotchas in there too. So it's he graduated with a mountain of debt, and I don't know if the 4 years of risking getting his stomach pumped was really worth it. Plus, you know, health effects, what you do in your 20s and 30s affects what happens in your 40s and 50s. So you start destroying your liver in your 20s, you think you're invincible until the day you wake up and realize you were not. Same thing with your back. You destroy your back in your 20s and you can have back problems in your 30s. You don't have to wait until 40 to start feeling old in that respect. And then there's genetics too. There's one guy I went to school with. He was telling me through primitive social media in the 2000s, his doctor told him he had the back of somebody like double his age at age 27. So he should get like easy jobs the rest of his life if he wanted to still be able to stand up. Life throws curveballs at you, man. Getting old has plenty of curveballs, you know, in with that type of crap as well. Either way, this is Nitro Praise 7. It's just some relic of my adolescence that I had never really, I think the reason why I remember this CD is because I borrowed it from some friends. And I was just like, hey, can I just borrow that again? Yeah, okay, brother. Can I borrow that again? Yeah, okay, brother. It's like, think of it as like a pre-Netflix version of Netflix when you know, no late fees, or you just keep borrowing the same movie over and over again or whatever. That was basically it. I mean, this wasn't something that my friend really was listening to a lot. So I was like, hey, can I just keep borrowing it? Oh, yeah, sure. You're going to give it back to me for the end of the summer, right? Yeah. And then I did give it back at the end of the summer. But it's just, yeah, this thing is out of print. It's out of print, and it's the YouTube video. I used to have some YouTube videos that use some of the instrumentals. Can't find them anymore. So either the search results aren't showing them anymore, or the videos got taken down. No copyright issue either, because for some reason there's a channel that has a whole bunch of those, and there's no content ID for any of it. So rights holder needs to establish an account and set up everything in order to start collecting revenue for that. But I'm just kind of surprised. But then again, you know, this is 20 years ago, not even the most popular CCM at the time. So I think the WoW CDs were a lot more popular, you know, than Nitro Praise ever was. Just, it's kind of like if you had an indie band that you listened to growing up and now you're hunting down the music for and stuff along those lines. Been listening to 2000s or like music, etc. lately. Well, I was in on this big, I tried to be very, very different from what I was. when I was a senior in high school, I wanted to send out high school with a bang. So I basically did everything that nobody expected a nerd to do. I started wearing like wild clothing, wild colored clothing and stuff. No more like, conservative colors, blue jeans, whatever. I wore I went through my wild clothing phase as a senior in high school, went to all the school dances, probably could have been a clubber if there were any nightclubs out here. But I basically simmered down by the time I was going off to college, and I actually, was in a position where I could have had friends that were clubbers. But I was basically a clubber out here in the woods. Everything was a party. Everything I listened to had a beat. There was high intensity stuff. Probably got the best cardio of my life too, because I would always be practicing dancing for the school dances. So I had a color organ set up in my room and a light show, way wilder than any of this LED stuff we have nowadays. For those of you who don't know what a color organ is a device that flashes and changes lights based on the music. I had like a strobe effect in tune with the beats and some knobs to control the sensitivity on a color organ that I built. So it was like, it absolutely was very, very trippy. Granted, this is me flashing incandescent bulbs on and off, so I probably put a ton of wear and tear on the poor light bulbs that I had in this thing. But just blinking bulbs in tune with the music. You can probably type it. What kind of videos are available? Is there it's called a color organ. What kind of demonstration videos? Are there demonstration videos? Or is this really old form of DJ technology or something? Color organ. I don't want to show it on stream because it might have effects on people who are sensitive to flashing lights. Pseudo random. Okay, circuit skills LED color organ. Let me see what this looks like. And let's give this person an ad impression as we click over to the video here. PC color organ. Is there a demo later in the video? This is a guy showing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Blinky, blinky, blinky. Yeah, don't show that on stream. It's way too blinky. But yeah, basically it's LEDs. You can type color organ if you're not sensitive to blinking lights. Type color organ into YouTube. The video is by Make, and it's called Circuit Skills LED Color Organ. And towards the end of the video, around 7 minutes or so, you see the blinky blinky. So I had a bunch of that, the LEDs flashing in tune with the music. I had that, but with incandescent bulbs. And then, here's the thing. Electronics student, I built a stereo color organ, and I wired in some electric receptacles that were controlled by the same thing that flashed the bulbs, so I could plug in external lamps. I took it with me to college once, and I had a single, so that meant I had 2 desks and 2 desk lamps with big fluorescent bulbs. I turned them sideways so they were vertical, put them at opposite ends of the room, plugged the cords into my color organ, ran music through it from my computer, and had the lights on each side of the room flashing in tune with the music in stereo, so the patterns were different. Now that's how you get trippy with college furniture. Hey, glad you're checking it out, Dan. Coming in high school, wore lots of black and plaid, sort of grown out the wearing a lot of black these days. I wear a lot of black shirts now because I deal with a lot of trucks, so truck grease, don't want it to stain my clothes and stuff. Similar to the maintenance guys, similar issue. Wow, this looks nice. Yeah, it's pretty trippy. You can imagine me doing that with incandescent bulbs and then fluorescent desk lamps. It just had to be a light that turned right on. It couldn't be like a warm-up period or anything. So 2 blinking fluorescent tubes, just making the room all trippy and stuff. And then I think I had Altec Lansing speakers at the time. So I hooked up 2 Altec 2.1s. I hooked up 2 Altecs. I had 2 subwoofers going. But it was like mid-bass. It was like computer subwoofers from the 2000s. So 6.5 inch, maybe it was like 80 hertz was its loudest thing. It didn't even go down very deep as opposed to the 8s I have nowadays. Passive, so it's not loud enough to get the police called on me, but you can actually hear the 28, 27, 26 hertz properly as deep as it's supposed to be because I've bypassed the 30 hertz filter by turning my subwoofer passive. So my blown Klipsch Pro Media 2005 subwoofer two 8-inchers accordioning each other, and I kept the wiring consistent so that the home theater box can send 85 watts to it over the LFE channel. Indeed. This looks nice. Yeah. So, all right. We've gone off on bazillions of tangents, and it's nearly 4:30 here. But yeah, so it's going to be a crappy summer. It's going to be a crappy summer as far as work goes. We found that CD, etc. Now, we're getting to the end of the trash scramble. So the cost of trash removal in my town is doubling for most services on July 1st after the prices, I believe, were where they are for like 10 years or so. I've been tossing around the idea, and this is where you might actually want to link up a browser. I've been tossing around the idea of getting rid of the plaid sofa. Those of you who remember the Ashens pastiches. The plaid sofa. So here's the thing. I've been looking very closely at, making it easier to move. If the landlord ticks me off, I want to be able to just get out of here and not need a lot of people helping me lug furniture around. I've tossed around all kinds of ideas, including no longer having a real bed, so I wouldn't have to mess with a mattress and box spring. Look for some kind of find some way to approximate the effects of a bed without having some big clunky piece of furniture. Because also, don't forget, I could end up in an apartment again, and I'm going upstairs with all my stuff. So I was tossing around the idea of using lawn recliners instead of the plaid sofa and getting rid of the plaid sofa from the Ashens pastiches. But I want to say kudos to LGR for his retro room project. This is where we're going to want to link up a browser. Minimize live control room. I don't know how many people follow LGR, but he's definitely he's an inspiration for my tech videos, except I'm a bit more of an ongoing story kind of person than he is. He does more like video type things and stuff, if that even makes any sense. Browser mode, web browser, link up to Google Chrome, and let's get this on the screen here. LGR is building a retro room. He's got a big on-the-floor tube TV 70s style. Big on-the-floor TV 70s style. He says he wants to put in wood paneling as well. And let me just go straight into his pictures here. Oh, I can't actually. So he's got this Zenith here. Well, I don't want to show too many of people's responses, including my own. So let's just zoom down and let's just put it back on screen. Let's do it this way. He also has a plaid chair. He's going for some kind of 70s thing. So he wants to put wood paneling up in this room and have it be retro and hook up an Atari and stuff like that. I don't know if he if he really wants to go retro, he should put in an antenna box, even if it's not hooked up to anything, because, well, analog TV is long dead at this point. You can't really be talking like 70s unless you're talking like one of those huge antennas that you put on the roof of your house in the pre-cable days. And then you had like a box where you turned a dial and it would go as it turned. They make a bunch of noise as the antenna turned on your house to try and pick up better signal. It still sucked compared to cable. My stepmother had that when we first moved into Connecticut. And and it's just, I remember we'd still have problems with like broadcast TV not coming in properly. But look at this ratty old plaid chair that he probably got. Look at it. It looks like someone's cat went to town on it. I saw this and I thought about the plaid sofa. My plaid sofa used to have a matching chair years ago, but this place is too small for it, so I got rid of it with Geek House 5S. And I was tossing around the idea of getting rid of the plaid sofa. But let me just see some other stuff here. He actually does have some footage where he's playing Atari. Let's see here. He's tossing around. Oh, he actually photoshopped an example of what he's looking for here. So here's what he has in mind. Now, this I can relate to. Because in the 80s, my dad actually had some. Well, my dad got out on his own in the 70s, started building a life for himself in the 70s, kind of like I built a life for myself in the 2000s. So he had a lot of wood grain and a lot of wood grain and brown and yellow type stuff, 70s type stuff. So I actually still have a picture of myself and my cousin, who's now 30 with like a kid or two now. 30 something with a kid or two now, but we're all little kids back then. She's like a toddler. So, and then there's me at like 5-6 years old in a Boston Red Sox shirt and, just chilling on the couch. But I remember, we lived in a place with wood paneling at the time. My dad had a Sylvania television, so that at least was from the 80s. It wasn't like one that still said solid state like the 70s TVs. Silver Sylvania, not like these big wooden Zeniths or anything. But he used to have, he had a stereo from the 70s, wood grain, 8-track, records, didn't have a cassette deck. I think maybe it did. I know I had tapes. I know I had tapes because I played a cassette player and like story time stuff. I also had a record player too, because there were children's storybooks that had 45 RPM records. And I remember my Star Wars one skipped because of a scratch in the thing, so the needle would keep going back and stuff. Dan says a huge antenna would be insane. I don't want him to get an antenna, especially since analog TV is dead and buried to the tune of decades now. I'm talking about him getting one of the antenna boxes that used to turn the antenna, don't hook it up to anything, and just do like a video of like, remember you change the channel, you had to turn the antenna, turn the dial, or something like that. See if it makes noise while the dial moves over. So it's like a relay system. It was low voltage in the house. The dial would move, and then proportionate to your dial moving and making all the noise, it would send signal to rotate the antenna on the higher voltage circuit, and the antenna would rotate to pick up the signal better. They weren't very good. No. I had an elderly sitter when I was growing up who used to, sometimes I went over her house, sometimes she came over our house. She always loved coming over our house because we had cable and she didn't. She's like, yeah, I want to go over Jay's house and watch him there because the TV actually has a picture. So it's like, yeah. So, yeah, he's looking at like shaggy carpet. I think he went with green carpet that looks like a chia pet or something. But something like this with wood paneling. This would be a style that I could relate to because the 70s and the 80s kind of did blend together if you weren't really rich, much like you would buy old furniture or something. Yeah. Plaid chair. Interesting. Well, where's some of his other pictures, too? So, textured. Oh, he's photoshopping textured carpets in and stuff. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Ancient antique phone. Setting up a new 1982 answering machine. 90s room tour. I got very involved in this discussion. Where's the thing where he had a top load VCR? Some people are digging up pictures of like 70s stuff and whatnot, etc. I'm trying to find where is LGR's tweet of him playing Atari. Let me actually go back to his page there. He's talking about Internet Explorer, Packard Bell, Holiday Inn, etc. Where is that thing where he was playing? I'm gonna have to zoom this out. Oh, yeah. Shaggiest. Oh, okay. No. He's got more progress. He's got some more progress going. Did he apply filters to this picture? Yeah. So, chia pet carpet. Apple II, wooden desk, Atari, little pillow on the floor, probably an old school incandescent, old answering machine, old school incandescent, etc. Yeah, we used to have rabbit ears, not so great. I had rabbit ears when I was growing up. So the cable went to the main TV in the living room that the folks were always watching. I got channels 3, 6, 10, and 12. And by got, I meant I could make out what was going on the screen. 10 and 12 had the best picture quality over antenna, and I had a rabbit ears too. So I didn't even have access to the big antenna on the house. My room was close to that antenna, though, so maybe I got better signal because I was right next to an antenna, even though I wasn't directly hooked into it. It's weird things that antennas do to signal and stuff. So, but I did have rabbit ears growing up. Let's see here. I'm trying to find, there's a thing where he was playing Atari. Where was it? He's done so many updates. Oh, okay, there it is. Demons, they attack. Can I zoom this in? Can I zoom this in and make it big? Yeah. There we go. Get some sound. Let's get some. Oh, we're going to have to unmute it. So that means we're going to have to pause it. All right, let's pause this. Let's unmute Twitter. Let's just, all right. Yeah, here's somewhat the finished product. He still has to put up wood paneling on the walls. Yeah, some of you folks that follow him on Twitter might have seen this. There we go. I think you should stream stuff like this. I really don't. I'm in a rotten position camera-wise. I'm cutting off the top of his head. All right, I'll cover up, okay, I'll cover up his hairline there. Whatever. He should stream this type of stuff. If he's building this retro room, I don't know if you ever thought about doing live streams or something like hangout, chill streams, chat streams, whatever, but he should totally do streams of like playing games and stuff and talking with fans. It'd be really basic, but I mean, the way streaming is these days, it's just, it's the way streaming's getting right now with the what goes up must come down with the lockdown bubble bursting and stuff. I think you'll see like a wider variety of people streaming to smaller audiences and stuff. But I mean, yeah, he could maybe do something on YouTube or Twitch if he doesn't already. Let's see here. Oh, this is a 1-minute clip. Should have just kept it playing. Wonder who he got to take care of that CRT though. Those things require maintenance to keep them running, especially if the flyback transformer blows out. Yep. Oh, yeah, DMCA. Mute. We'll use the song scrubber if that gets flagged. He's got 80s music playing in the background too, and I think that's what the rest of the clip is. So we'll song scrub that if it gets claimed. Yeah, let's mute this again. I think he also had like a wood panel thing going as well. I guess he couldn't play music if he streamed, but I mean, I think he probably could do like Atari or something along. He probably could do like a stream of him playing Atari or something like that. Yeah, if that gets claimed by a music company, we'll just do the song scrubber on it and we'll just drop the bit rate for that. You'll probably still be able to make out the Atari sounds, but we yeah. So here's the thing. Well, let's just go back to a static picture. So LGR is working on this retro room of his. Now, why don't we go back to one that's a little bit more representative of things here? How about, let's put the plaid furniture in there. So LGR is building a retro room. I have no use for a retro room. I wouldn't even chase after a 70s aesthetic. For me, it would be 80s or 90s. But the thing is, I don't have much of a reason to try and recreate a past era in a room in my house or anything. That's like, I think of nostalgia. I mean, yeah, I was a little kid in the 80s, but there was a lot of 70s stuff because we didn't have a lot of money. So it was kind of a blending together the 70s, the 80s in terms of decor and stuff. But I mean, I played Atari in a bedroom on a black and white TV, and my first Nintendo was on a black and white TV as well. I didn't get a color TV until 1990. And even then, it was a Daewoo B-stock with the screen off a little bit as well. So it's not really important for me to recreate any kind of, unless I want to make like a 2000s room. And what even is a 2000s room? It's like tube monitor. I don't want another tube monitor. I don't want to deal with tubes ever again. They're nostalgic, but they go out with a bang when the flyback transformer goes and you got like 40,000 volts with no boom. That's what took out my first computer monitor. So one day, boom, big flash of light. The folks heard it because I was living at home at the time after college, looking for a place. The folks came barging in. He's like, what's that big bang? And I'm like, my monitor just blew up. Rest in peace after only about 4 years. Of course, we had to put wear and tear on it, lugging it out to the college and back for every semester break and whatnot, and moving it around a lot more than most tube monitors get moved around. Yeah. He brought up a Gold Star monitor from 1994 or something. And then I ordered my Samsung from Newegg, which was a thing until Geek House 5S. But the inefficiency of CRT technology precludes me, and also how heavy they are, especially these huge wooden TVs from the 70s. It's just, unless I got some really good furniture sliders, it's definitely a team lift item. It just precludes my ever getting something like this and stuff. So I was tossing around the idea of getting rid of the plaid sofa. But then LGR got the gears turning with this. I'm not interested in a retro room, but you look at the way things are made these days. You go around to Amazon, you look at, like, I would want furniture that was easier to move. So I'd probably be looking at buying a futon or something, like from Walmart or from Amazon, to replace the Plaid sofa. Look at the review. Look at the 1-star reviews on the futons and see what people are complaining about. They're complaining about it doesn't last. The screws give out. You know, it doesn't last. The screws give out. There's other problems, or it's just uncomfortable. In some cases, people say there isn't enough cushioning, so you can feel the metal of the futon through the cushion. Now, one person said, I can't sit on this futon for more than 4 hours or I get a sore ass. And I'm like, you know, I've never had that problem with my Plaid sofa. If anything, I have the opposite problem where it's such crap that I sink down into it and I put some cardboard in so I wouldn't sink as far. It's like, I wonder if the thing's about to fall apart. So I'm very seriously thinking, though, and this might be what Clint's thinking about with this. That's his name, right? Yeah, LGR. I'm thinking what LGR is thinking here is maybe get retro because things were built better back then. I mean, this chair, how old is this chair? And like some cats took a few swipes at it or something. He could probably just put some stain on that wood and then some clear coat or something like that. And in the case of my Plaid sofa, I make it fit with Geek House Dark Mode and the blue and black attack and stuff like that by just tossing a bed sheet over it. And I can put the sheet in the dryer. I can put the bed sheet in the dryer, or I can put the bed sheet through the wash, put some fabric softener on it, soften it back up. Just some king size sheets to change the color of my retro looking Plaid sofa, which is pretty out of place in my, this. Full screen it up, baby. Hey, Andy, what's going on? Sleeper PC and a Dell XPS case from 08. It's kind of sad that I'm old enough that late 2000s PCs are considered sleepers. Anyways. Yeah, so I mean, I always wanted to have a more futuristic kind of thing going here. Same thing too with the sunglasses thing as well. It doesn't really match when it's like normie lighting and stuff. By the way, I programmed the daylight mode in as well with some of the changes I've been making to my smart lights, but we'll talk about that some other time. We've already rambled on enough with this stuff as it is. But if you ever played Paladin's Quest on the Super Nintendo, or Lennis as it was called in Japan, towards the end of the game, you go underground into these very technologically advanced corridors below the surface of the planet. So where ancient technology and robots and stuff are, and there's a character called Nails who's literally a robot that you recruit into your party. And I always liked that aesthetic with the glowiness and the blue and the stuff like that, and the futuristic vibe to it all. So I've been kind of going for that with once LED technology became more of a thing, I went looking for that with my setup as well. So things look a little different tonight. You'll find out why in the next 2 tech videos that I put together. So after I get this stream in the #1 parking spot for the streams, then we can put the videos together in between rounds of Forza and stuff like that. I'm having a lot of fun with the Xbox Game Pass. So actually today was a milestone. This is a wired power array controller that I had to switch to because for the first time ever, I had watched the buttons. For the first time ever since having Xbox controllers working with PC on Bluetooth, I killed the battery in a controller. I was playing so much Forza, not charging the controller, that I finally finished the thing off. It's a little buried under the remote over here. Yeah, this thing, red means it's not charged. This thing, red means it's not charged yet. So for the first time ever, I finished off the battery in an Xbox controller on PC, playing Forza so much for X amount of days and having to charge it back up. Oh man, maybe I should get the other. I have another battery too on another controller that I can always use. And I can always just swap controllers, have one charge, the other one, etc. But yeah, so playing on Xbox controllers, and then I killed the battery. And I'm like, why does the controller keep shutting off? Oh, the battery's dead. First time I've ever had that happen. Wow. Usually play MMOs or keyboard mouse games on PC, and here I am playing controller games so much. I actually like these power array controllers. This is the Xbox One. There's probably one for Xbox Series X that has the extra button. These power arrays are actually more comfortable as controllers than OEM controllers. So I don't know, I might just keep this plugged in for a bit. I just wanted to get used to a console controller in case I ever, had a friend around here who played Xbox and I went over and had to use real console controllers again. So the problem is this thing, I've played so many driving games on it, the right trigger is sticking a little. So I might have to disassemble it and clean a few things. It's like, I don't put wear and tear on my controllers as much because I play mostly keyboard mouse games and stuff. But yeah, Xbox One controller killed the battery in this thing with these little power A things. Oh, yeah. Playing Forza and stuff like that. All right. Can we get back to the discussion? It's 4:48 here. All the day shift people are going to be getting up soon to start their Saturday. Like I used to do when I was little. Saturday morning cartoons. Used to be a big fan of the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show and Garfield and Friends. All right. So LGR is working on this retro room. I was thinking as part of the trash scramble, getting rid of the plaid sofa because I wanted something lighter. I can't find anything really to replace it with, especially when you get to a situation where maybe antiques might be hardier than most stuff you can get that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. The way things are getting, especially with the inflation that's going on right now, it really kind of makes you wonder when a $120 futon is now like $200, $300 because of increased cost of goods sold and increased shipping costs and stuff. When futons are like 100 something or now 200 something, and they're getting bad reviews because they're not comfy enough, you got to wonder, why buy new? Especially if you can just put something over it like what I do with my sofa. At least when I have, it up to date and all cleaned up and properly maintained. What the? Once again, random stuff disconnecting from Monolith. It's probably a USB thing. I probably got to redo my USB to be mostly USB 3. It wasn't the keyboard mouse, though, so thank goodness. So, Monolith showing its age there. Maybe it was the Bluetooth nub. I got to find out what that is. Either way. So, you can say that LGR saved my plaid sofa, because the plaid sofa that I have, I got it in 05. When I first got out on my own, my folks got rid of furniture they didn't want, and that was my starter furniture. But it's an antique plaid sofa, probably from the 70s, similar to this chair. So it's an antique. It's probably built better than most of the stuff that I could get nowadays. And really, I'd be paying hundreds of dollars just to change the color of my furniture and potentially downgrade it. I have a lawn recliner where if I want to do something outside, I can just take it outside. I thought about using lawn recliners for the few times I would actually want to throw like a blanket on them to make them more comfortable. But this is like plastic and metal joints, and they wobble a little because it's outdoor furniture. I don't know if I use it on a regular basis, I'd probably break something and then fall to the floor or something like that. So I don't know. I think I'd be better off just, yeah, it is going to be heavier to move and stuff if I don't think of getting better furniture later. But what I have right now as a couch, it works. Just change the color by washing a sheet and throwing it over it, and then I could make something I could also make something to hold it in place a little better at the expense of a little bit of comfort, like a sash or something. Get a big long sash going around the couch to tie down the blanket so it doesn't slip forward, the sheet so it doesn't slip forward. But I think I'm fine with what I have right now in terms of the plaid sofa. I really don't think, I think I'd just be wasting a bunch of money trying to replace it. So as much as I wanted to get rid of it with the trash scramble of 2022, I think I'd rather just keep running it into the ground and throwing sheets over it to change the color so it doesn't look so out of place in my setup. So yeah. Darn. So what am I going to do now? I got to get, I got a whole bunch of old school trash. We use like a trash sticker thing in this town, and that's what's getting updated, so it costs more. I guess I'll have to find more things to get rid of before the prices go up. The plaid sofa is not going to be one of them. I do have some bookshelves to get rid of as well. So I had a bookshelf half collapse. Actually, since we're talking about odds and ends here, I might as well just give you a fair warning. Mainstays bookshelf. Give me a picture of one that's similar to the one that just broke on me. I need one where I can zoom it in. It's one of those, they used to be $50. They're probably closer to like $75 now with inflation. Let me see. I think it's this Mainstays Direct. Okay. So there is a way to order directly from Mainstays that buy. I thought it was a Walmart brand, not a 31-inch shelf. I got the wrong SKU now. Mainstays framed 5-shelf bookcase. Is that it? No, it's not it. It doesn't look right. 71-inch, $44.90. I can see it. I can see it. Okay, good. I want to be able to zoom in on this. So I found out the hard way, browser mode, that this bookshelf design sucks. And it's interesting, you know, I'm talking about this this setup here, and here's what it looks like when it's assembled. So we're talking about this whole setup here with antique furniture versus modern furniture. Here's the thing. So this is a Walmart bookshelf type thing. You put it together, it's got little dowels, everything snaps together. But this top piece is all one big box, and then this bottom piece goes into it. You move it around too much with too much weight on it, the dowels give out, and this whole thing starts swinging back and forth. In my case, when this bookshelf first started swinging back and forth, if I didn't catch it when it happened and very carefully remove everything from the shelves so they wouldn't weigh a ton and fall over, it would have fell over and put a hole in the wall. I mean, this thing was ready to just collapse. So I have basically the bottom collapsed. So I have the pieces left over from the bottom that I got to get rid of. And then I have this top bit with an extra shelf in it and stuff. And then I bought another small bookcase with only one piece of wood that I can put on top of it to get the shelves back, assuming that doesn't start bowing the medium density fiberboard shortly. But yeah, this cheap Walmart furniture gives out, and then this top piece becomes like a missile because this becomes hinged and might fall over on you. Terrible, terrible design. Horrible. I can just show you. I can show you directly on this zoom in thingy here. Can I zoom in on it? Hey, I thought I could zoom in on this. Oh yeah, plus. You see is it going to fill in the details and reload the picture? Well, I guess it's kind of fuzzy. If you can see that there's this board thing here, that's because this is all a box, and then this is 3 things going into it. So this breaks, it becomes a hinge, as opposed to the rest of the way up, it's one solid piece of wood. This point right here is a failure point. This breaks, depending on how much weight you have in the top shelves, you now have something that could just fall over and slam into the wall or something like that. So here I am trying to see how far I can get cheap furniture to go, and probably going a little too far with this bookcase thing. Meanwhile, let's put the LGR picture back on screen here. Meanwhile, I have 2 antique bookcases from my childhood. Never had a problem with them. The shelves aren't bowing or anything. Basically, I have a 2-shelf bookcase on the floor, and then another 2-shelf bookcase with no legs, because it's only the top part of it on top of it. And it's 2 things. I can just empty out the books, carry them out, you know, and it has thicker material in the back as opposed to the paperboard you see on today's shelves. I thought about getting rid of them in favor of, you know, furniture that was more portable. I don't know at this point, considering the problems I've had with cheap furniture and what I'm reading about, like replacements for the plaid sofa and stuff like that. You know, I'm thinking about all of this, and no, I think the old stuff might actually be better. I think I should just stick with what I have and see how long it lasts. I mean, the bookshelves have lasted me since childhood. This desk that all of this is on, Interroyal, made in the 80s. Probably here in Connecticut, too. Locally made in the USA, no bowing of any sort. So I just got to change the stuff on the bottom so it doesn't scratch the floor or anything if I move it too much. But yeah, I have Interroyal furniture. I have like a side storage thing, but the shelves are broken. I can buy some replacement parts to get the shelves working again because they're in there loose with no rails to move on, because when I was a kid, I was an idiot. I put big, heavy books in there and broke the shelf. So they've been broken ever since, so I don't really use them. I just use it as an extension to the desk. So this is all Interroyal furniture from the 80s. Other than that little bit with the side storage, no bowing of any sort. Everything's good and thick. I mean, I have some stuff that is peeled off over the years, but by and large, this stuff is made, it's built like a tank. So It's been working great, too. And here I was thinking about replacing it with a Techni mobility stand of some sort. You know, furniture like that. I really should just maybe install like felt pads on the side of this thing that are hidden when I use it the normal way, but then have a way of sliding them across the floor to get them in and out of places with furniture sliders. That might be something I might want to think about. But as much as I've had these grandiose plans for swapping out all the furniture with portable stuff, the old stuff is holding up better. Is it even worth it to even proceed with any of that? Instead of just seeing how long I can stay here. So, kudos to LGR. He pretty much saved my plaid sofa with this retro room project of his. Because I was totally ready to just get all blue and black everything. So, I'm seriously wondering, though, whether or not I should just go to an antique shop or something and check prices at secondhand stores for older stuff and then maybe restore it from back in an era when there was more local United States manufacturing and things were built better and lasted longer. I don't know. Needless to say, whatever this post-retro furniture phase will be for me, that's a bridge that we don't have to cross anytime soon. One more thing we can talk about, and that is Xbox Game Pass for PC. Xbox Game Pass for PC. So, one of the reasons why you haven't been seeing very much from me, and I haven't made any progress on the tech videos I want to put together. That's not a way to cough, by the way. Almost out of this stuff, too. So, one of the things that I've been thinking about, well, one of the real thorns in my side as a PC gamer was Forza Horizon 5. Crashed on the copyright screen for the longest time. I finally found out what was doing it. Komodo security software. Fundamentally incompatible with this game. This game is more like a normal program now. Forza Horizon 5 is post-UWP Microsoft app. I first tried the Steam version, didn't work twice. Back then and recently, got refunds both times. Thank you, Steam folks, for understanding that it was a technical thing that kept me from starting the game. That's the reason why I kept doing refunds after less than an hour of play. Refunds are evaluated on a case-by-case basis, so I'm very, very thankful that they had the patience to let me do my little experiment to try and get it running on Steam. I've since found out about the problems with Steam versions of Forza games, so I'm just going to stick with the Xbox app and have a cross-link from Steam to get to it. So, the Xbox app, I remember installing it with Dirt 3 for games for Windows 10 way back when. God, I was like, why do I need an Xbox Live ID when I don't even have an Xbox? Here's the thing back then. Now there's a Steam version of Dirt 3 that you got for free if you had the old version that no longer has games for Windows Live and all the DRM was removed. But I had an Xbox account that sat dormant until very recently. Now it's part of the Microsoft account and stuff along those lines. There's an Xbox app as well. Didn't know when I would ever use it. I'm a Steam person. I begrudgingly once got very angry at Elder Scrolls Skyrim for requiring Steam to run. I was like, what the hell, Bethesda? Why can't I just play Skyrim the same way that I played Oblivion and Morrowind? Well, I'm a Steam guy since then. One of those things, you're mad at it until you actually get used to it. And then for the longest time, I was like, oh, what do I need an Xbox app for? It's redundant. I don't have an Xbox. Not going to be using an Xbox anytime soon. I have next to no reason to get an Xbox except as a Blu-ray player. What's the point of having an Xbox app? And then, as I figured out what was wrong with Forza Horizon 5, one of the things I decided to try doing was pay $1 for the free trial of Xbox Game Pass for PC. That way, I wouldn't be buying a $50, $60, $70, $80 game, depending on what version I got. Only Steam refunded a day later. So I was like, all right, I'll pay the $1, and If there's any way to get Forza Horizon 5 working, fine. Otherwise, I'll pay something else. It's Xbox Game Pass. Reminds me of GameFly, the Netflix for games, if anybody remembers, but GameFly is very tied to physical media. GameFly was a service where you had X amount of games out at a time, similar to old school DVD Netflix. And you could buy the games at a discounted price if you wanted to keep the games. So it's kind of like a paid demo service, rental service type thingy. If you had a game you liked, you wanted to buy it, you could actually buy it at a discounted price and keep the rental copy. It's pretty cool. They're still around today. They're just tied to physical media and consoles a lot because they're tied to physical media. PC gaming hasn't been physical media in decades now. You can still get CD-ROM games for PC. It's just so much more convenient, though, to run it through something like Steam or GOG or the Epic Games Store or something like that, or even a digital client like, say, Battle.net for Blizzard games, than it is to have to shuffle CDs, especially if you're playing older games with DRM on CDs and Secure-ROM and crap like that. PC gaming used to be a nightmare, a complete nightmare of DRM. I still have in my classic YouTube playlist the RMake21 rant about how PC gamer, about how, what the, stop breaking the desk. Anyways, I used to have, I have in my classic YouTube playlist the RMake21 rant about how PC gamers got treated like garbage because of DRM in the 2000s. And he actually demonstrated how piracy was actually made the game run better. It was easier to get into the game for a certain game where, because he had the Nero burning ROM or 2 DVD drives on his computer, it wouldn't run the game because the DRM thought he was trying to copy it. So it's an old YouTube video from the 2000s, and it's a product of its time. But PC gaming used to be a mess. I remember playing Vice City on PC because I didn't have a PlayStation 2 back then. And the game would do CD checks, or the game would run the music off of the disc. There was a workaround to copy it so it would run off the hard drive. But if you can imagine a game where, a Grand Theft Auto game, where every time you got into or out of a car, mostly into a car, but you get into a car in the middle of a mission with the cops running after you and the game freezes for 25 seconds while the CD spins up and starts playing whatever you were listening to on the radio because the music is getting pulled from the CD-ROM. That's the clunky world of PC gaming in the 2000s. Or how about you install multiple optical drives because you want to leave discs in there all the time so you can bypass the disc checks on your favorite games whenever you start them up, not have to keep popping the disc in. Did that with Morrowind and Neverwinter Nights once upon a time. But yeah, I used to, and of course I'd have something in the drive all the time for one of my game CDs, and then burn CDs on drive 2 or something like that. You know, back up to a DVD-ROM or something like that. That sort of thing. Yeah, it used to be a mess. But yeah, you have services like GameFly still around today. They even have PS3. I could theoretically buy a subscription from them and rent PS3 games to play on my PS3. The problem is it's titles like Eternal Sonata, which I have, and some other games. And then there's games on old consoles that have been remade, or they're available on Steam or something like that. It's really complicated games a lot with the crossover between PC and console. If I have a PS3, but I want to play a certain game that's on PC, it's more worth it to play the PC game, obviously. In many cases, unless the port's terrible. But it's, yeah, it's... So, GameFly, remember that service? Yeah, okay, but it's tied to physical media. What's the digital version in today's Steam-dominated PC game era? Xbox Game Pass, and this is going to light me up, because I couldn't get dark mode working on this Xbox website. Xbox, is there anything? Microsoft, please put a dark mode on your website. Look at how I'm lit. Of course, it'll be good. It'll look like studio lighting. Assassin's Creed Origins, play with PC Game Pass or Ultimate. I went and checked it out. Looks pretty nice. You basically pay a collection. You basically pay, and you basically pay the equivalent of an MMO subscription to have real games in your collection, if you want to be cynical of MMOs like this. Yeah, some of these games I recognize as games I've seen streamers streaming on Twitch, particularly small streamers, which really makes me wonder how many streamers are just trying to make back their fee in donos for Xbox Game Pass for PC. Some games I recognize on here like Lake and some others, some of the Ninja Gaiden games. This is the console. Let me look at PC games here. Explore EA Play on PC with Xbox Game Pass. Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge just came out. It's a beat 'em up similar to the Ninja Turtles arcade game. I can play it. I can play it on Game Pass, and probably when the demo period is over, buy it at a discounted price. But I can just check out games I'm only curious about and don't know if I'm actually going to play it a lot. It's similar to the way demos used to work. Demos would give you a couple levels on like a CD that came in a magazine or something. You could try the game and see if you wanted to buy it. What's this? Is this like some EA Sports cricket game or something? I gotta check that out. I hear a lot of folks in India like cricket, and they treat it like the way Americans treat baseball. I'll have to check it out. I don't know if it's like... No, this isn't an EA... It doesn't look like an EA game, is it? No, it'd be flagged if it was. I don't know. Some Ninja Gaiden games, Assassin's Creed Origins. Of course, I have so many games in my Steam library and GOG library and other stuff that I could just play those. Stuff. Plague Tale: Innocence, Windows 10, Age of Empires, American Nightmare, Aliens, Among Us. There's Halo games in here. There's all kinds of other stuff in here. Art of Rally. It's just, why is it not showing 20 games per page? Show me 200 games per page. That should cover it. I saw Dragon Quest in there. Yeah, Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I'm probably gonna check that out. So this is gonna be one of the reasons why after the 2 tech videos, I'm probably gonna be doing a lot besides the work stuff. I'm just curious about Game Pass now, just checking all these games out, especially during this trial period. I'm seriously wondering if I should stay involved with MMOs. ESO, I have a lot of involvement with, I know, but in terms of the second MMO, which is what I would pay a sub for with like World of Warcraft and something, I'm starting to wonder if I should just drop that and do Game Pass instead. And MMOs, MMOs with sucking you in with that monthly fee. You have that monthly fee for a game that you're really engrossed in, or you have a monthly fee for a collection of games and a way to buy them at a discounted price if they get taken out of the collection. I don't know. It's a really tough thing to juggle. I realize we live in a day and age where you have all these subscription services you're toggling on and off. All right, look, Age of Empires 1, 2, 3, and 4, Among Us, Aliens, some of these Alice Madness returns via EA, Anthem. See here, Art of Rally. It looks like some indie thing. I might check it out. Astria Ascending looks like some JRPG thing. Arx Fatalis I'm familiar with. A couple of Battlefields through EA. I mean, couple of Battlefields through EA. There's a new app. I don't know if it replaces Origin or not, but there's a new EA app that runs digital games for EA. Burnout Paradise Remastered still crashes at the Guns N' Roses logo for me, so I'll stick with the original that I have on Steam. Thank you to Staffa from Attic Continues. After I've been on the show a couple of times, he's like, I have an extra Burnout Paradise key. You want it? I'm like, sure. Never played it, but I have the original Burnout Paradise that I scale up to 1080p. Boyfriend Dungeon? What the heck is that? Children of Morta, the Bug Snack, City Skylines I've heard of, Command and Conquer, Conan Exiles. No, I'm going to pass on Conan Exiles. Craftopia, Tales, Crusader Kings. Familiar with that? Will it run Crisis? Crisis 1, 2, and 3. No. Dead by Daylight, heard of it. Dead Space 2, Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3. Dirt 5. I think I have Dirt 4 on Steam, and that's the last one I bought during a Steam sale. But I can check out Dirt 5 on the Game Pass. I just want to go, play a whole bunch of other games besides MMOs now. Now that I'm familiar with this service, and I finally caved and checked it out. Donut County, what the heck? Doom 3, Doom 64, ported over to PC, Doom Eternal, Doom 2. I had a friend in school in the 90s who had the box version of this, and when we graduated middle school, he wrote it like in the class wills part of the yearbook. I give my copy of Doom 2 to blah blah blah. Some Dragon Age stuff in here, like Dreamscaper. Oh, Dragon Quest. Builders 2, Dragon Quest 9, I think. Yeah. No, Dragon Quest 11. Then my Roman numerals mixed up. Edge of Eternity, Empire Sin, Europa Universalis. I think I've seen that. I think I've heard of that a long time ago. A couple of Fallouts in there. Farming Simulator. Basically games that I might be curious about, but don't know if I might keep playing. So, oh look, FIFA and some Final Fantasies. Forza Horizon 4 and 5 it's cool they have them both in the Game Pass because they're basically like different locales and stuff. Trying them both out. The interesting thing is some people, they just play the game through Game Pass and then buy the DLC on top of their Game Pass game. And then if these two ever get retired, they can just buy the game discounted. So, which means I'm only, $30 into Forza Horizon 5. The thing is, whether you consider it valuable enough to pay the sub fee for any one of these games on here, especially if you're an MMO player who's used to paying a sub fee for one game, and now you can pay a sub fee and get essentially a game collection. Yeah, there's standard editions. They might not have DLCs, but they give you something to play. Kind of reminds me of like when you get a smart TV and you get a bunch of built-in channels and stuff. Look, a bunch of Halos. Is that because it's an Xbox thingy? Gee, I wonder. Bunch of Halos, Hearts of Iron 4, Hollow Knight, heard of that, etc. Into the Pit, Jurassic World Evolution, I've heard of that. Just Cause 4, Killer Instinct, Last Stop. Oh, there's Lake. That's a streamer game. Lawn Mowing Simulator. Perfect game to play during the summer. Let's see. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13. Wasn't that one of the other stuff too? Yeah, 2 Maddens. Madden 21-22. Of course, I got 22 during the Steam sale earlier. Luminous Remastered. I remember this game. I knew some people that played it way back in the day. Some Mass Effects, Avengers game, Medal of Honor. When I was playing Battlefield 1942, one of the guys I work with was a big Medal of Honor fan. And he's like, well, let's play Medal of Honor instead of Battlefield 1942. And I'm like, I already got Battlefield 1942. And I bought a joystick so when I fly the planes, I don't get shot down by the people that actually have joysticks. Medieval Dynasty, Microsoft Flight Simulator Standard Game of the Year Edition. I already have the Steam version. Ooh, Solitaire. Woo! Let's see here. Minecraft. There we go. Minecraft PC bundle, Minecraft Preview for Windows, etc. A little bit of Minecraft in here. I have Mirror's Edge on Steam. Here's Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Monster Sanctuary, it's a Moonlight, MotoGP, heard of that. Mortal Kombat, obviously, I wouldn't be in my generation if I hadn't heard of that. Myst, I guess, yeah, that runs. Point and click PowerPoint presentation game. Woo! Classic adventure game, though. A bunch of Need for Speeds in there. Hot Pursuit Remastered. I've checked that out. I used to have I had a friend in college that hated one of the Need for Speed games and gave it to me for free. Then I lost the CD. There was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. So Neoverse, Neon Abyss, Next Space Realms, No Man's Sky. Heard of that one. Octopath Traveler. Joanne Tech Lover. She used to do Newegg stuff and used to do YouTube videos about tech stuff. Used to do tech videos. Started streaming on Twitch during the lockdowns playing this game. JRPG with turn-based combat. Could definitely check that out. Play it in Japanese even. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Heard of the Ori series. Outriders New Horizon. Peggle Knights. You know, games your grandmother would play if she borrowed your computer. I don't know. Plants vs. Zombies. Yay. Let's see here. Oh, some Quakes, Psychonauts, and Psychonauts 2. I have Psychonauts on Steam. Never played the sequel. Quake 3 Arena. Classic. What's next? Unreal Tournament in here somewhere? That would be it. That's more of an Epic Game Store type thing. Rise of Nations, RoboQuest, Rocket Arena. Surprised no Rocket League in here. Isn't it free to play, though? I don't know. SimCity 2000, I remember that. SimCity 4, I have the CD version of this game, as well as, what's that SimCity Complete Edition? SimCity, I don't know what that is. I have SimCity 4, I have the CD version of this, as well as the Rush Hour expansion pack. So, maybe that's what the deluxe edition contained. One less CD to dig up if I want to play that again. Skatebird, SimCity Complete, SnowRunner, etc. Star Wars, the controversial Spore. That game was controversial. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, heard of it. The Star Wars Battlefronts, I heard, were controversial. I only have the old PS2 era one back in the day. I still have it on CD. So, but the newer HD ones that were controversial, play it on Game Pass instead of thinking you got ripped off or something. Is it worth it if it's part of a subscription service? Stardew Valley, big streamer game for chill streamers, stuff like that. So these are all games that I'm curious about, but don't want to spend a bunch of money buying, or run out of space with, ballooning my Steam collection with a backlog and stuff. Subnautica, I've heard of as well. Surgeon Simulator. I remember the other one, the old one from back when with Total Biscuit, when he used to play it with his, before he passed. Tetris, Ooh, of course, yeah, what's Tetris like these days? Some Bard's Tale stuff, heard of Bard's Tale in the DOS days. The trilogy of Elder Scrolls games. Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, because I already have them on Steam. But the trilogy of Elder Scrolls games is here for people that want to play catch up with these games that I really have liked over the years and modded the living daylights out of, all three of them. So the Skyrim version is the special edition, so 64-bit code base and better graphics and better stability. Outer Worlds, Yakuza, seen some streamers playing that. The Hunter, Call of the Wild. I haven't played games like that since I, put a Wiimote in a plastic rifle and played it on Wii. Oh, look, The Sims. Yeah. The Sims. Titanfall 2, Rainbow Six Extraction, Rainbow Six games. 6. Slipping a bit there. Total War, Warhammer, train stuff, whatever it is, etc. Stuff along those lines. Oh, there's a page 3 here. We're not done yet. Darkest Dungeon got removed. See here. Unsighted, Visage Wasteland. Never heard of that series, etc. Some Wolfensteins. There's a series I've heard of. World War Z I've heard of. Worms I've heard of. Some Yakuza's heard of them, etc. But I've seen a lot of streamers playing Yakuza games. Now, like, these people aren't really into gaming and stuff. Are they really ballooning a Steam library and taking up space on their hard drive with this? I'm like, maybe to get it from Game Pass and stuff. Wreckfest looks interesting. If it's anything like Destruction Derby 64 back in the day. This is cool, though. This is cool, and, if you buy stuff, this could be the very thing that makes the Windows Store actually worth it versus Steam. I actually realize that there's a bit of an argument going on with regards to Xbox versus Microsoft versus Sony, whether Microsoft has gotten too consumer friendly with this. What's it doing to their monetization while Sony's very much going in the other direction lately? And of course, there's the whole issue with the difference in the culture between Japanese and American companies, even things like copyright laws stricter in Japan. So Japanese companies are more likely to DMCA people on YouTube instead of using Content ID. But hey, how's my controller doing? Okay, nope, it's still red. It's still charging. This thing getting warm? Totally killed the controller. First time ever. Holy crap. Yeah, so you got all these games for roughly the cost of an MMO. So if you're already used to paying a subscription fee to play a single game, and maybe you were juggling multiple MMO subscriptions, why not swap one of those out and basically have a game collection without having to have a huge Steam library or something along those lines? It's nice and simple. You might even say it's something for filthy casuals or something. But it really makes you want to try out games that you're curious about. It's like you remember 10 years ago when the Ouya was a thing? One of the selling points of the Ouya was that every game on the Ouya store was free to play. The idea was that digital stores for consoles were walled gardens. And it was a bit there really wasn't an element of try before you buy with the way things were back then with consoles. Things have opened up a lot since then. It just seems like this is kind of stomping on the Ouya's grave, to have a nice selection of games that you pay $10 a month for access to. Things are constantly coming and going. You have the option of buying things at a discounted price, similar to GameFly, except it's digital instead of physical, and playing through the Xbox app. Then you can use something to put it into your Steam library if you want to combine Xbox and Steam together. I think PC gamers are in really good shape with this kind of stuff. But really, you know, if you're used to paying an MMO subscription fee, you have a collection of games now. Things change, yeah, you might have to buy some from time to time, but for stuff that's very Microsoft-y, like the Forzas and the Halos, if you like any of that stuff, would you pay a sub fee to have access to these games? It's crazy, you know, how the world has changed. Now, even since I've been following this stuff. Back when I thought that I was cutting edge with DSL in the 2000s. Now, oh, you want to get into PC gaming? Pay an MMO sub fee and get access to a basic library of games to get you started. Who said there had to be barriers to entry with PC gaming? Of course, nowadays, the hardware shortages are more of a problem than ever. But I really like how Microsoft has brought the console, Xbox, and Windows closer and closer together to the point where there's this overlap. There's buy on one, get both, platforms, stuff like that. And then there's this. This is the cheapo plan as well. This is the cheapo plan. What's the membership? The memberships are... Do I have to sign... I don't want to sign into my Microsoft account for this crap. Subscriptions. No, that's not it. What does it go for? I think it's like $10 a month or something. Let's see. Newest, Xbox Game Pass, etc. Game Pass, what's the cost? PC Game Pass. You don't have to deal with Xbox Live. Then join for the first 3 months. Oh, okay. So PC Game Pass is $10 a month, basically. Yeah, the equivalent of an MMO subscription, and boom, you get a game collection. You get PC games. Just get some good broadband so you can download all these games you get curious about and get them installed. That's cool. And that's going to be why you're not going to be seeing as much from me. Between that and the work and stuff like that, I'm just going to be so curious playing some catch-up with Forza Horizon 4. Didn't really finish that game too much. Forza Horizon 5, just got that working as part of Game Pass, and pretty much anything else I'm curious about in this collection. I might actually check out Shredder's Revenge. Haven't played a good beat-em-up in a long time. Might even bust out a SNES controller or a NES controller, depending on what the controls are. Use a so-called emulator controller for that whole retro feel. Plus, we probably got to use a D-pad to move around anyway, so... what was the stream called again? I got Forza Horizon 5 working and checked out Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, well, that sums it up. I think we finally got around to talking about everything. So I'll come back later and put in a clickable program guide for everything. But yeah, so if Logan wants to do any I told you so's in the comments for this, he can be like, haha, I told you so all he wants when he sees this. Yeah, but yeah, it might be time for me to hang it up with the MMOs for a bit and check out the rest of gaming now that it's this convenient. Just have decent download speeds. We can swap games over and don't have an ISP with a bandwidth cap. All right, I'm going to check out Shredder's Revenge, get that downloaded and start playing around with it. It's 5:30 at the Geek House. We'll probably be done downloading when I get... Actually, I'll probably do the 4-hour shutdown timer and have it shut down in 4 hours, and it'll probably be good and installed by then. Wake up and play some Ninja Turtles. What year is it? What year is it again? What age am I again? I don't know. I've seen people playing Shredder's Revenge. I haven't played a good old-fashioned Ninja Turtles beat-em-up in a very long time. So, yeah. It's a cool world we live in. All the things people are experimenting with. And it's got to get even cooler, too. You got all this crap with gas prices and everything. Why not check out some digital entertainment while everything else is expensive? Have a good weekend, everybody. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by. And things look a little different right now. You're going to find out why in the next 2 tech videos.